that's popping into my mind right now is one little second grader whose class in the room I'm going to be in, I think, on the playground was not listening to me and was just purposefully not listening to me. And he was telling me he was going to take a picture of my butt and put it on Facebook. And I was like, okay.
I was thinking of that when
Yeah. It's like, okay, I know you're not saying that because you like my butt. I know you're saying that because you think so. Anyway, but
Oh my God,
then he
that's
ended
funny.
up telling everybody that. So he was like telling everybody, and I had to call the supervisor over finally. Like this, he's not listening to me. And then he told her that too. That he's going to take a picture of her butt and put it on Facebook. So,
You are crazy.
I ain't been this high on Perkins in a long time. I ain't been this high on Perkins in a long time. I took 230s and a half of a third one. I feel like I can see everything with my third eye. Feel like I'm floating, see the world from a bird's eye view.
I'm just going to give a shout out to my mom. Hi, Mom.
That's always important.
Knowing that she's definitely somebody who will watch this. So
Yeah, the one person who will watch it. Oh my God, yeah. She's the one who brought us here today.
Yes, she is.
Made this all happen.
Yeah.
Kind of on topic of like family, like I remember when I was a kid, like the one thing I really enjoyed about like our interactions was that you always like treated me like an adult. And it might sound negative, but I mean it like positively. Like you always, it wasn't like, oh hi, it was just very like we're just talking like people. Like it wasn't. It didn't feel it didn't feel any different than like me being 19 talking to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't feel like I tried to talk to you in a specific way. But I just felt like, not that we were on the same level, but we were. Like there was a place to go to where we could be on the same level, and it felt
Right.
Yeah, it just felt
Yeah.
that was the way to talk to you. And when I'm working with kids now, it's like I can see how some of the adults talk to the kids like really like super hyper and sweet and it's fine. Like, the kids are like, you can see them like they love it and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just I'm noticing like, oh yeah, I don't do that. Yeah.
I've never responded well to that.
I guess every kid's different, but yeah.
Because I almost expected like most kids to not like it. Like I never asked anybody else, how they liked it as a kid. But how did you respond to that as a kid?
Well, it was always a little bit like, oh,
Yeah.
like taken aback, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like, oh, but they seem to really like me. So there was that too. Like I responded, I liked it, but it was a little shocking at first,
Right. I think for me, it's just like already being like kind of quiet as a kid. Just not wanting all that like attention, but also because like it does come with more attention. Like just if I was addressing like a teenager or an adult, I almost wouldn't spend as much time on them, which sound like, well, not me, because I would treat a kid like an adult too, but if it was somebody who's very like out there like that with kids, I guess I don't want to say they would spend less time on it talking to an adult, but like it's just they give the kid more attention, like kind of out of
right. It's out of proportion.
Out of proportion, yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it because, what was I saying? Yeah, because I was quiet and because, like, I wanted to like have people see, like, almost have people see me as an adult. Like not treat me any differently. I didn't want to be treated different because I was a kid. Which like makes sense now. Because I always felt like I was on a more mature level than other kids. Like wanted to be like recognized as that. And like and like the other thing with the whole like talking to a kid like an adult, it's like even if we were talking about childhood things, like we were talking about it as if it was like an adult subject.
Sure, right.
You know what I mean? And that was like the fun part.
Yeah.
It's like like people take my life seriously. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's something I wanted to like point out. It's not like a question, but
I must remember making me remember like all the trucks. We did a lot of cars and trucks, rolling them around and making up stories about them. And
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like the way that you said that, like it's to interact with you or a kid in that way, so that they're like it's an adult like it's an adult thing to be doing. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna roll around cars and trucks right now, and this is perfectly perfectly adult thing to be
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like yeah, and like if I was meeting another kid, I wouldn't even think to act differently. I would just be like, hey, what's up? You know, because I just wouldn't. It wouldn't go in my brain to like, oh, you should change the way you act. I mean, like you got to be a little bit more like, I guess. Oh no, you only got to change anything if you think
Yeah, I mean,
about
there's
it.
some developmental things that kids
Right, they wouldn't
are,
understand.
but
Yeah,
yeah, I think the more that you can talk to them like an adult, the more you kind of help bring up some of that intelligence. Like the kids are
yeah,
smart and kids are funny, and sometimes you don't see that if you don't
right.
let that, treat
Yeah,
them like an
and I
adult.
feel like that's how I would connect to the kid is by talking to them just very casually, you know? Because like I can't relate to children that well. Like anytime I meet someone's like, little cousins or whatever, like I'm so awkward because I don't know how to like go down to that level of maturity and
Yeah.
like have any sort of conversation. But I feel like, I mean, it also does take a certain kid to like to talk back to you like an adult too, and like actually to take it in. But it's kind of how I found out which kids I want to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like certain kids I just can't talk to. Like they just don't. I get so awkward. I feel so awkward because like they'll just say things that like kids would say that don't really have a response to it. Like they'll just like make a comment and you're just like, what do I say to that? Like how do I respond? And like adults do that too. When I hate when adults do that. Where like they'll make it like a joke, but it's like, what do I say back to you? Like
Yeah.
you're making me look so awkward because
Yeah.
I have no response.
You just have to come up with a list of like stock responses that you can just pull out. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
interesting or
Yeah.
whatever. Tell me more.
But on the subject of children, the other thing that I remember being like as a kid with us was like you always would ask me like if I had any dreams recently.
Oh,
That was always
yeah.
one of our topics. So like, have you had any weird dreams recently?
I've had a lot of weird dreams. Now, which ones I can remember.
It doesn't have to be recently either, but
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the most recent dream that I remember. Well, let's maybe come back to that because it's gonna simmer. I'll
right.
probably think of something. Have you had any weird dreams?
I'm trying to like recently. I feel like I haven't been able to recall them. Because I know I always have them, but I don't know if I always can remember it. Like there was a couple. I mean, this is like a year ago or over a year ago actually. It was kind of an interesting one. It was kind of like comical in a way, but it was with the my ex, which at that time she actually was my ex also. But it was her in the dream, and it was in the yard here, and it was like it was her body, but she was talking like another girl I knew who I wasn't dating, but like we just like had talked as friends or whatever. Like, but she was talking like her, and their personalities are very different. And she was trying to cut through all the yards and like go over every fence.
Okay.
And like the guy who lives over here was talking to her and was like, you can't do that. Like, I don't want you cutting through my yard. And the girl's voice that she had was very kind of an asshole. Like just the personality of very like, well, I'm gonna do that even if you don't want me to. But that's not how my ex was at all.
Right.
So it was weird like seeing
Yeah.
her personality and her body. It was kind of cool,
Huh.
But 'cause I was trying to like get in my head like what does that like mean? Like I guess because it was kind of recent after the breakup, so it was like oh, it's weird to see this girl that I'm talking to, in the same place in my life as the ex because they're so different.
Yeah.
And now, looking back, the girl I was talking to was very like not good at all, and we weren't ever gonna date, but it was just like a cat like friend, but like you kind of like, test out the waters a little bit. But yeah, it was just interesting.
It's hard to tell sometimes, like whether dreams are some dreams I think are just kind of integrating all the experiences that we have in a day, and some dreams feel much more meaningful, or symbolic. But yeah,
Yeah, like I wonder how much dreams really mean. you know.
Yeah, I've taken like little mini classes on dream interpretation, and it's very interesting. And usually if I'm taking a class like that, then I really start to have dreams that feel meaningful.
That's cool.
And because we're trying to write them all down and analyze them and everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like Jungian interpretation would mean like every person and thing in your dream is you in some aspect of you. Mm-hmm. So that's one way to interpret a dream. Like how am I? What aspect of me is being portrayed here in this?
I think that actually is pretty accurate, because like I feel like your entire imagination is you looking in a mirror. Like any story I create or any like idea I have, it's me. Like it's just in a different form.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's probably very accurate with dreams too, because technically that is your imagination. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in dreams.
I dream a lot about. I like it when I dream about water. I love to dream about being in water, and water can symbolize emotions. But but I often have dreams about like big ocean waves coming and being terrified. Like seeing from a house, maybe from a big window, and seeing this huge wave coming up, and that that can symbolize being overwhelmed by emotions.
Right.
Water can also symbolize God in some way. The unconscious emotions.
Right.
So I had a dream once where I was in this hot tub that was so fun to be. I was just loving it, and then I peed in it. I was like, why am I peeing in this? And I was like, kind of like, I was in the class at that time where like I peed in my God water. What does that mean?
My God water.
Yes. But I didn't feel grossed out. But it was too many things mixing together in a weird way. But
yeah, I was like wondering, like, why did I do that?
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah, and with the whole imagination thing, like this, I had this question for a while with like trying to write things down, and then the whole writing area, because I know you're into that. What is kind of your process in writing? Because whenever I try to form a process, I feel like it always ends up taking my creativity down, just in the sense that I'm bringing something from my imagination into reality, and reality doesn't really want to cooperate with like with how fast my ideas are coming to me, and like I can't have one idea and then like start writing that, and then I'll get another one and get more interested in the next one.
And they're different ideas from each other, you mean?
Yeah.
So you don't follow through with one because your another one's coming in?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, what's been your kind of process and like the actual way to get things done and like out?
Well, I don't have exactly the same experience in terms of ideas coming so fast, because that I would imagine that would be more of somebody who's a fiction writer or a screenwriter. Like when you're thinking of, most of my writing has been about myself in some way. So so that makes it.
Yeah, that is different, because like I think whenever I've done that, like with just like writing little paragraphs about life, like that's easier.
Yeah.
It kind of just like flows with the thoughts. But.
Right, or writing poems. I don't necessarily have ideas for poems. Like I might just be writing in a journal, or it might be. It's been a while since I've been writing, so I feel like I'm a little bit being a fraud to talk about it like I have an organized process, because I don't.
Not really. I mean, if you've published anything, obviously you know.
Yeah. I've completed things. I've worked on something and revised it and finished it. But yeah, I think. I don't know. I think sometimes the brain can try to. I read a book once called The War of Art, and it was about how what we might call your ego does everything it can to try to sabotage your creativity, because that's an expression of yourself that is not based in fear. It's not based in negativity.
Exactly.
And so when you have an idea for something, life and your brain and everything's going to come in and try to do its best to try to keep you from seeing that idea through. So I think forcing yourself to stay, if whatever idea comes in, like say, I'm not going to listen to any other ones, this is going to be the thing, and stick with it. And then I think if once you get a good start on it, the other ideas that you have will be ideas that can feed into the current idea in a way that develops it. So that's not something completely different. It's something that enriches what you're already doing.
Right.
So there's a little, it's discipline. It's and that's the hard part. And also being willing to be bad at it. Like
that's a big part of it.
There's a famous chapter in a famous book about writing, and the chapter's called Shitty First Drafts, and it's about like you just have to have to be okay with that. Be okay with that, and like be okay with feeling awful about yourself, and trust that it will. You just keep working at it. You can turn it around, but there's a lot of hating yourself and then thinking you're a genius, and then hating yourself and then thinking you're a genius. So
I think that's a big part of my journey because I haven't like fully been okay with that being part of the process yet. Like I haven't fully accepted that.
I haven't either. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to feel bad about themselves or feel like you're dumb or feel like you can't do it. But yeah. Because
like one of my biggest struggles in life is just like trying to exist in reality because I'm so based in my head and in imagination and creativity. Like I feel like I process everything through art, so it's hard to like put my art into reality and like just exist in reality and like just express myself in reality, so it's like I don't want to bring these things that are so close to me and like express me so well into reality because I know reality is going to mess them up when in reality it's not, because that's pretty much the most wonderful thing about creativity, and that's what I'm learning now, is that the point is to put it in reality. The point isn't to keep it up here. The point is to put it out here and have other people see it and the people interpret it and actually to change something about the world.
And to accept that it's never going to be exactly the way it was in your head. I mean, language takes out some of that, mystical quality, and
that's so true. And that's why I've always wanted to actually do something with film, because it's what you're hearing, what you're seeing.
There's a lot more.
The dialogue. Exactly. You can create more of a feeling less than just writing out the feeling, which is difficult. But like overall, like what's your favorite piece you've done of writing?
Probably the one that's not necessarily. I mean, it's about I'm in it. My parts of my experience are in it, but it's the one that's not just strictly memoir. It's called Darkly Devotions, and it's about where like I would take Bible verses, or like passages from spiritual self-help type books, and then kind of get subversive with them and kind of talk back to them or get sarcastic so there's a lot of like play and humor and subversiveness that was fun. It was the most fun. Most fun to write.
That sounds fun to read too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Is that one of the ones that's out that you?
Yeah, I think your mom has it somewhere here probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
On Amazon, right?
Yeah. But you have a copy somewhere in the house, I'm sure.
I'm not saying I was gonna go buy it. I was saying like to put in the plug in.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about those guys. Yeah, everything is on Amazon.
Yes, I will have a link in the description.
It's under Cindy Clem though. That's my maiden name.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I should probably read that because I would read your stuff, but I just like I wasn't as old as I am now, obviously, when you were making this, and then I don't know what year you made that, but I'm not a big reader anyway. Like I think the first I haven't read a full book since I was like that wasn't for school. Haven't read one since like 5th grade.
Yeah, I didn't think you were like a big reader, and I didn't know. Yeah. So are you reading more now or trying to?
I think now that I got that book for Christmas, I'm definitely going to read that. Like I know for sure I'm going to read that. because that's something that's very important to me and like very essential to my life. So like, and I'm very interested in it. So I think that will be my first kind of step back into reading.
What do you find difficult, or what makes you not want to read, or
I think I'm not really sure what it is. I mean, it's obviously very different from like I just love like watching things, like watching YouTube, because I'm obviously into that type of stuff. Like I love watching podcasts, like because you could say like about my generation, like, oh, they don't, and I'm only talking for myself. I'm talking for everybody else, but
Yeah.
like, oh, it's all about the short attention span that they don't want to sit down and read. But like, I'll watch a 2 hour podcast. So like, I kind of should get that credit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
right.
I have long attention span. I just
yeah.
I don't know what it is about reading. I mean, I haven't really tried to like see what it's like, because it doesn't come naturally to me as like something to do in my free time. I never like think about it.
Yeah.
'Cause I do have some books I want to read that I like actually own. So, but like that's the first one, like the one that I got for Christmas is the first one that I actually like I'm like excited.
Yeah.
To read.
It's good.
Yeah, I think things nonfiction, at least about topics I'm really into, is what I probably would read more, because I just obviously I write fantasy stuff, but I don't want to be in someone else's fantasy, because I hate watching movies.
Oh,
And it's like weird because like I want to make movies, but I hate watching them.
that's interesting, because I feel like you're not alone in that in your generation. I feel like movies just are not as appealing to some kids as.
Oh no,
as,
I feel very alone in my opinion.
really? Oh, do you?
Everybody loves movies because all they want to do is just put on a movie and just kind of like zone out, which I do not. That sounds so boring.
Yeah.
And it's like now you're trapped in somebody else's mind. You're trapped in what they want you to feel, which is like the whole point of creativity. But like it just everyone's imagination has a different vibe, and I don't want to feel. I don't want to be encased in someone else's vibe, because I want to just like imagine my own movies. Like I'd rather just be, doing my own stuff than I don't know. I can't pay attention. I can't pay attention for that long in movies, and if it's like a very emotionally intense movie, which is also very, that's what I want to write. But I don't want to watch somebody being tortured or someone going through like a loss of a family member. Like is ever like there's one show that my mom watches where I think this guy's wife dies. It's like I don't want to watch that. I don't want to think about that. Like how can you sit down and watch that just on like to relax? That's not relaxing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that topic of creativity and stuff, I've always been confused on how you can go to school for creative writing. Like they're so opposite ends of reality, like creativity and school and teaching. Like you can't teach creativity. I feel like creativity basically is just like the only way that you can bring out creativity is by just diving into your own mind and like trying to find yourself.
Well, it's certainly part of it, yeah. And I understand that feeling of how does academics fit into creativity, but I think for me, at least for writing, it was a typical, like, at least in my experience, a creative writing program is reading a lot of other writers just to like learn from, there's a lot of things to learn in terms of how a book or how a poem or how an essay is structured, and different ways to structure it, and different types of genres within each thing. Like there's,
Right.
and so you're writing, you might be exploring your own mind and see what you come up with, but it can be helpful to just be exposed to all the different possibilities of what's possible creatively.
Yeah,
It
that's
doesn't
true.
mean, I know that I remember I would teach creative writing too, and some students, it was a typical thing that students would be afraid to read too much because they didn't want to be influenced by that,
Right.
But
Which honestly is a very real fear. I feel like it makes sense to me.
well, I think it can make sense, like if you have been like if you're currently working on something, it might make sense to not expose yourself to a lot of that genre while you're working on it. But I think there's a lot of benefit to really knowing your field. Like if you want to go into film, like knowing like what's been done in film and what's been the progression through the history of film, and what are people, the different theories or the different camera types or angles. I don't know enough about film to talk about it, but just like all the different possibilities of what people can do, and just for an appreciation of other people's creativity, and and to be part of that, feel like you're part of a larger creative community.
Yeah. Because it definitely is a time and place where I do enjoy like going into someone else's mind and really like seeing what they're able to convey. Because I find it so like it's so cool to like see someone else who, has the same type of mind as me. Like because I've always like seen my imagination as like this big like castle or mansion thing. Because like I could easily just live in this castle and not ever go outside, because I just love living in my own, creativity. I create everything that that's in my fantasies and whatnot. But I've just been able to kind of realize that like, oh, now I can actually see the next person over. I can see their castle too. So it's like I can see them and be like, hey, that's a nice castle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really neat.
And I think that like people who are creative, whether it's, with writing or music or film, it's lonely to create something because you're doing it by yourself, unless you're like on a film crew or something. But even then, the person who's writing, the writing gets done often by yourself. Yeah, definitely. And so it helps to have, if you're part of a community, whether it's just a local group of people that are also creative, or whether it's a classroom at school, it's just a way to be less lonely. Like you can still have your own little lonely time of writing, but then also connect with some other people who are doing the same thing. So.
Yeah, I've never really felt lonely in like creativity, because I love that part of it.
It's not not lonely in a bad way, but it could become pretty isolating. Like you're just alone all day working on your novel.
Definitely, like that aspect of it makes sense. Like, if that's your job, I mean, you're literally just home at your desk all day. Like it's hard, because that's pretty much been my life with doing online school for years now. So I get that. Because I've heard of like these like writing groups and stuff where like they'll have like a meeting once a week or something, and they'll either have like a new prompt for everyone to experiment with, and you come back and read it together, or like I've always like wondered like if I would actually enjoy it. I mean, I would enjoy like the whole like present your thing to the class, but I don't know if I'd like it or not.
Yeah, it was always nerve-wracking to have to bring in my poems or my essay to share with other students, but I think it was good for me. I think it was, and I did get good feedback. It is because a lot of times when you write something or express something in some way, it's perfectly clear to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then other people read it and they ask questions like, oh, so this isn't coming across the way that I thought it would, or this isn't as clear as I thought it was, and then that can help give you something to revise. Right. But yeah, I've kind of avoided writing groups out after school's been over, because I don't want to. It's just a lot of work, like reading everybody else's stuff and then coming together and comparing it, and it just depends on your personality. Like some writers really thrive on that community, some don't. But I think at some point it can be helpful in your development. Right. Yeah.
And did you actually taught a writing class, right?
I taught writing at Penn State. A lot of it was just like freshman composition, or the required class when you're graduating, like whether it's writing for the humanities or writing for technical writing. But I also had a couple creative writing classes that I taught.
It's like, what was kind of your like, what kind of was the main point of someone coming to that class? Like, was it to teach them, more like just how to format things in reality, like this is how you format this writing has like the technical stuff, you know, or is it more based on like how do you bring the ideas out? How do you?
Yeah, it's really more about how do you develop an idea that you have, and how do you express it in a way that reaches other people? Because, like you said, if you're in your own castle, and you know it can be a great time, but if you want it to communicate to somebody else, it helps to have some feedback to say, is this actually communicating what I want it to
exactly.
communicate? So that was a big part of it. We did a lot of workshop. You know, we would bring in they'd bring in their writing, and we'd sit around and talk about it, and a lot of people write about things that are personal, so that can become a little bit of a therapy kind of situation.
Like a little podcast.
Yeah. I wasn't the best at it, but I have friends who are creative writing teachers who are just really, really good at working with students in a big group like that and helping everybody feel safe and helping everybody at the same time inspiring them to, you know, share and keep improving and
Right.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. So that was overall a positive experience, you'd say?
No, I did not like teaching. No, I think it could have been a positive experience for. I mean, I think that me being in creative writing classes was a positive experience.
Okay.
I just was not. I'm not a teacher in that format. I don't enjoy it.
I've heard so many bad things about being a teacher. Like there's actually a podcast I watch where it's all teachers.
Oh, okay.
I love that because it's just every episode's interesting.
Yeah. High school teachers or any
grade, elementary, high school, everything. There weren't any college people on there, but that's different. But
it is different. It would be. I think it would be much harder to teach elementary, middle school, high school than it would be to teach in college. Yeah. That's
kind of what I thought. So like you're saying it does measure up to what they're saying about how bad it is to be a teacher.
I did not enjoy it. Because I wasn't good at really establishing an authority. I didn't feel like I didn't have enough confidence to feel like, or to convey that I'm the authority when it came to, you know, if they want to argue about the grade, or if they, you know, disagree with something, or they just not come to class, or just, you know, things that I didn't want to have to try to be their mother.
No, yeah, exactly. And it's also because like they're adults. It's more like I don't have to argue with you. You're like 20. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have to argue with you.
Yeah, but it was more just I'm not an extrovert, and I'm not a social person. I think a teacher has to be, to enjoy teaching, I think you have to either love and feel really confident in your knowledge of your subject matter, or be an entertainer and be really good at just talking off the cuff and telling stories, and you know, and that just wasn't who I was.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
Kind of moving away from the creativity stuff, but I think this is a good question to get in. What is your biggest source of anxiety at the moment?
At the moment?
At the last couple of weeks, you know.
Okay.
I just had this recently. I had just thought of it.
Well, I'm starting a new job January 6th. And in some ways it feels like a big softening of a lot of the anxiety that I've had the last year, because it feels like it's the right timing and the right thing for me to be doing. And I think that going forward, I'm going to have less anxiety about work overall. Yeah. But it's still just the process of starting the new job, getting used to the hours, because I haven't worked outside of the home full time in several years.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And just like all the little things, like how am I going to have time? When am I going to, you know, go to the bathroom? When am I going to eat my lunch? How am I going to have time? Like all those little things. How am I going to sleep the night before? Like all those things, which have kept me from pursuing a full-time job for a while. But I got to the point where when I started working with the kids after school, I was like, I like this enough that I think I might be able to do this full-time. And all of those questions, all those anxieties, like they'd still be there, but they wouldn't be as important. They'd be less a step down in importance than how much I like it. So I'm hoping that's what happens, and that's one of my anxieties at the moment.
So if you're not, because I know you're not a teacher, but like, what actually is the job then if it's full time?
Yeah, it's so it's combining two different things. So the first part of the day, from 10 to 2:30, I'm a para, which means it's short for paraprofessional, and you just basically a teacher's aide.
Okay. Yeah.
So I go in the school starts before 10, but she must be doing, the teacher in that particular classroom, I think she's doing large group teaching at that before that, and then I come in at 10, and then there's going to be small group things. So I'll be probably with a group helping them with whatever lesson that they're working on. I haven't done yet, but this is my impression of what I'd be doing. And then like going to recess and supervising recess and helping to supervise lunch, and then helping more with more small groups. And then the second part of the day is the after school program, where they just it's a little more free form. They have recess, they have snack, they have a little fun class of some kind, and then free time. So this is some of it feels like babysitting. Some of it feels I'm excited for the parts that I think are going to be a little more academic focused, because I do like tutoring and helping kids with their schoolwork. I love that. I don't love being in front of the classroom teaching everybody.
Right. Okay.
But I like the small group stuff.
Yeah. So what age? They're pretty young, right?
Second grade is what I'm going to be.
Second grade.
Yeah, and then the after school is kindergarten through fifth grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good range.
Yeah.
That's a very big range, actually. Kindergarten is so different from fifth grade, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's neat to see them, it's how they interact with each other. Like, even the youngest ones interact with the older ones.
Oh, because they're all in the same, okay.
Yeah, they're all in the same space in the
Yeah.
after school part.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever talked to someone in kindergarten after I was in third grade,
Yeah.
you know? Like, after being in a different school.
Well, they have a program called Bus Buddies, where they pair up a kindergartner with a fifth grader for the first part of the year, and the fifth grader helps them find their bus.
Yeah, I remember we did something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the exact same. Well, I guess we couldn't, because in my school we had different. There's like a K through 2 and then 3 through 5 school. But yeah, like is from overall with your experience so far with, like, you know, working with kids, is there any like funny stories or interesting events of?
There are, and the one that's popping into my mind right now is one little second grader whose classroom I'm going to be in, I think, on the playground was not listening to me and was just purposefully not listening to me. And he was telling me he was going to take a picture of my butt and put it on Facebook. And I was like, okay.
I was thinking of that when yeah.
It's like, okay, I know you're not saying that because you like my butt. I know you're saying that because you think, so anyway. But then he ended up telling everybody that. So he was like telling everybody, and I had to call the supervisor over, finally, like, this, he's not listening to me. And then he told her that too, that he's going to take a picture of her butt and put it on Facebook. So, but
that's funny.
Yeah, they're just, and then they're just funny. Like, a group of second graders came up to me. They were all frustrated with each other because they've been trying to play this game, and they made up the game, and so they didn't all understand the same rules, that they all were doing different things. And so I talked them through it. Okay, what are the rules? And then finally I'm like, well, do you want to keep playing this game? And they're like, no. They just kind of went off and did their own thing. So
that's funny. Yeah. I remember my game at recess was always tag.
Oh.
Love that, because we'd have like half the class join in at some point. That was awesome. Now
they play a version of tag that they call poison, and then they have poison mushroom style. Those are
mushroom style.
Yeah. So they have a little fluffy ball made of yarn that and like, there's no one person that's it, but it's a big group, and they just, whoever has the ball will throw it, try to hit somebody. If they hit them, then that person has to sit down, and if they play mushroom style, that means that the person sitting down can tag somebody as they run by, if they can reach them and get back in that way. And they can also, if they can catch the ball, if it's rolling to them, they can grab it and throw it at somebody and get them out. So yeah, it's complicated.
I kind of remember doing that in gym. Like, so is that like, that was like made up by them, or like by like the teachers made up this game? Like,
I have the impression that it's something that they have been playing for a long time, and I don't think that the students necessarily made it up. I think it started in gym, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I remember something like that. I remember like something where you're just sitting down and you're trying to like reach to get people. I remember doing that.
Yeah. But when I first started working there, I was like, poison mushroom style, and it just took me forever to try to figure out the rules, and because there's a lot of different little rules to it. But
now the classic one was like with tag, like where if you tag somebody, then they're also it. So there's two people that are it.
Oh yeah.
And then it just gets bigger and bigger, and there's one person running for everybody. But
yeah, that's kind of like another game they called Sharks and Minnows, where they.
Yeah, I remember doing that.
Yeah. So you have sharks in the middle, start a couple sharks, and then the minnows all run across, and the sharks tag them, and then he just keeps getting more and more sharks and fewer minnows. And
I thought that my teacher invented that. Like,
Oh. maybe they did.
well, yeah, maybe. But I missed that in gym class. Like, I loved when it was like just like weird games. Like, I don't want to learn like basketball
Right,
or
right,
like
right,
I
right.
want to just play like fun games.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoyed that part of gym.
Yeah.
Because I was never like a big I was athletic, but I wasn't a sporty guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was just more fun. But yeah, that's that's funny.
Yeah, they love it.
So the tarot cards, like, what way do you want to kind of introduce them, or
Well, yeah, I guess just that we were trying to think of something to talk about for this, and mental health wise, and I was, I happened to bring this deck home with me, or to mom's house with me for Christmas, because I've been using them like to draw a card every day, and although I haven't been doing it since I've been at mom's, and I thought, well, that's something that we could talk about today, and I was thinking, well, how could I could show like the journey, like how tarot can symbolize the journey of consciousness. But then I realized that this deck, even though I like this deck, isn't maybe the best for that, even though it would still work. But yeah, I guess we could just start with, what do you want to know about tarot? Do you have any interest in it, and what questions do you have about it? And
I think the main thing that I've always questioned is like, because I have had readings before, either I think from you and then also from friends who have been into it. Obviously very, amateur into it.
Sure,
They just bought the deck or whatever. But and it has been like accurate. Like I've seen like the purpose in it. I think the question like most people have is that at the end of the day, you are basing your life on what card, like the odds of what card you're gonna draw. So like it is kind of weird of like, how does that, is it actually like predicting your fate? Because I don't believe in fate. So it's hard when it's like, okay, this was gonna happen in the future, when like I don't believe in fate.
right.
So like what would you say to that?
Well, I think it started out back when it started out many years ago, and as a form of divination, but I don't even know how that they were defining that word back then, if it was like predicting the future. That's what you see in movies and stuff. But I think it's, for me and from the teachers that I've had and what I've learned, is that it's more about where are you now, and giving you perspective on that, and giving you a sense of, like, you might have a card that represents the future, but it would just be like, this is based on where you are right now and the path that you're on. It could lead to this outcome. It doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. It just means that's what the trajectory that you're on right now could lead to that outcome. So if you don't like that outcome, what can you do to change your attitude or change your actions that would,
Yeah, I feel like almost a way to explain it is like the games was not like a game, but like the reading is more happening in your own head than in like, this card means what's going to happen. It's more like how you interpret it, and like it like helps you see different points of view and stuff. Is what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, and another argument for somebody who doesn't think it's worthwhile might say, well, you could draw any card and make it mean something, and that's true.
True.
I mean, but that doesn't mean that it's not helpful or not beneficial, because I mean, I think it's true that you could draw any card and you could find a way that it could be helpful for you in that moment. But at the same time, in my experience of it, which isn't vast, but I have been doing it for a while, like sometimes I might draw the same card like several times in a week. And like, what are the chances of that? In a deck of 78 cards that I'm shuffling every time and cutting every time. And so I feel like that's kind of,
Yeah. Like, it's interesting. It's just, my philosophies on like the spiritual world just don't line up with like how could that affect the shuffling of the cards? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so out there.
well,
like
I think it's an energy thing. Like they say, like, when you shuffle, you think about the question that you have, and then kind of getting your energy into the cards. And that's a little, woo-woo, but
Yeah.
but then I don't know. I'm always surprised by how it seems to work with me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question or got off track, but
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like the card 4 I have there next to the little animal there. That it's so like it reminds me of that a lot of our game with that that we had like it's with the friend group I have. We made up the whole like card game where it's like talking to ghosts and stuff, but it's kind of like we're doing it as an experiment to see if you know, shuffling cards can actually you know, bring out anything in the other side, you know. So like we know it kind of seems a little bit stupid, but like it's an experiment.
Yeah, I've never.
I'm not saying that's stupid. I'm just
No,
comparing.
no.
Like,
I know. I don't know if I would say. I don't know if I would say that it's other spirits coming in or anything. Like it's not like a Ouija
I know
board.
that's not it.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like
I mean,
the whole
some people might use it that way, but
right, just like the whole idea of like putting energy in the card and like
Yeah.
the shuffle you know, like thinking about the question because we ask the question first and then we pick from the deck
Right.
and see what the answer is. So it's just kind of remind me of that, but yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, do you want to actually do like a short little reading? I think the one that got my attention the most was the past, present, future.
Okay.
I think that would be pretty good for doing it on the podcast. So like, how does that go down basically?
Well, we could just do past, present, future. Although usually it might be helpful to. Well, it's going to be like within a shorter time frame. It's not going to be like childhood now when I'm 60. It's going to be more
Yeah.
like in a shorter
That's what I
time
thought,
frame.
yeah.
And I'm just going to shuffle these for a little bit because right now they're in order because in case we wanted to look at the order or of anything. But so I'll just shuffle them and then I'll give them to you to shuffle.
Okay.
And it's easy to get for me because I tend to have, you know, some OCD, genuine OCD qualities. I found that I would get really anxious about all the rules that the books would seem to say, like, you know, make sure you cleanse your cards each time and make sure that you're not, you know, the surface that you're using them on and has to be a certain way. And it got to feel overwhelming. And I was like, I don't think the point is to get really anxious. I think the point is I think the cards are going to work regardless of what kind of surface they're on.
Yeah.
You know, it just, so anyway, I haven't focused on that so much. So you can shuffle those.
Well, then I'll embarrass myself shuffling these.
Or you can just shuffle them this way. You don't have to shuffle them.
I can do this. I just can't do like the bridge and stuff.
Yeah.
These are big cards. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I can just talk a little bit about while you're doing that. Like this deck, there are two main kind of strains, from my understanding, of tarot. And there's like the Rider-Waite deck was created in 1909 by this member who was part of this called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and he created the Rider-Waite deck based on, you know, centuries of tarot cards, and then Aleister Crowley created the Thoth deck, which is based in Egyptian mythology and numerology, and so there's so many tarot decks today, and most of them have like an origin of either, you know, following the Rider-Waite, you know, path or the Thoth. It's called the Thoth deck, the other one, and this is a Rider-Waite, you know, type deck. And I used to read the cards. I used to try to read the cards, like I would have my book of interpretation. I made flashcards of one of the decks, and I would just like try to memorize what all the meanings were.
Oh yeah.
And I had my book in case I forgot, but I want to get to a point where I could read them more intuitively because I felt like that's just the direction I wanted to go.
Right.
But the Rider-Waite deck, I learned on that, and it was. I didn't love the pictures. I didn't love the imagery. So it was hard to connect with it intuitively. So I wanted to try a different deck. And I have other ones, but this is the one I for right now, I just like the images, and I feel like it's a little easier for me to read intuitively. But I don't like some things about it. Like if I wanted to show you the journey of consciousness, it wouldn't wouldn't be as easy as if I used the Rider-Waite deck. But anyway,
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
okay, so this year we're doing past, present, future.
Yes.
Just do me a favor and just cut the deck. Okay. Okay, so we'll do past. Are these cards going to be visible?
Well, as we turn them over, we can like show.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't think about that. That's a good idea.
Card for the past is the Chariot. Let me just look at that for a second. I know what it looks like in the other deck, but I haven't seen this version.
I think I might also put I'll put a photo of it on the screen. Like I'll look it up because I'm not sure if that's gonna focus. But
Yeah, you can take a picture of the whole spread afterward. And before I start to talk about that one, I'll look at the other ones. Sometimes I'll talk about them one at a time, but see, present. 10 of Cups.
I like that one. It's giving me positive vibes there.
This one, 4 of Cups.
There's a rat at the bottom trying to take one of the cups. I like that one though.
Okay. So do you have any responses to this card? What it makes you think of?
That one kind of confused me. I wasn't getting much from that. Like, is there kind of like an overall meaning?
Yeah.
Or is it more,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I would say that the Chariot is one of the major arcana. There's major arcana and minor arcana. And so there's just a little bit more significant. But it's the card of like doing your best to just hold everything together. Like these two sphinxes or whatever they are can represent like duality. Like there's in your so let me just focus on for you here.
But it's making sense though. Like the trying to make sure everything is perfect and like hold all of your balance and like trying to control everything. That's so accurate.
And it's worked. It's working, but it's a lot of effort. And or it has worked in the past, and it's been a lot of effort, and it's been a lot of, it doesn't allow as much room for. It keeps you in a very narrow path because you have to focus so much on keeping everything controlled.
Yes, that's very accurate. And I'm also like, one of the reasons I wanted to actually get a reading was because of my status with love right now and romance, and I was like, just like confusing things about that, and I wanted to like see. I think like past, present, future would be a very good one to do, because with the past thing, with the romance side of stuff, it was like keeping like I was so like caught up with my ex. And I'm still trying to get past that now, but just like that kind of sense of like holding everything together and then like demanding that the universe has to be one way, that I can only love this one person. I can't even think about other possibilities. You know what I mean? So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And with anxiety and OCD, that's a huge like getting past the demanding thought process.
And like things have to be this way or this way, and there's no in between, and it has to be
Exactly.
Yeah. 10 of Cups, like you said, it's a very positive looking card. It's a card of home and happiness and fulfillment in terms of emotional and cups are like the suit of the element of water. So there's emotion, creativity, psychic energy. That's all like abundant. It's abundant in the present. There's security, there's safety, there's a sense of and love and feeling good.
I mean, I definitely am in a more positive state now than I was in the past, but I don't know, that sounds too good.
Yeah, let's see. Is there anything negative in here we could find? Well, I think it's maybe for you, it's more like home is the place where you feel those things where you feel the safety in the sense of
yeah, which is true.
Yeah. There's a happy home. It is, in the present. If that makes sense.
Like just like that side of my life isn't like family and home life you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And now this is Four of Cups is more like, well, you can see he's got, there's something being offered. Maybe it's an opportunity. And there's an attitude of, I don't know, like, and there's there's like, I already have 3 cups. Do I need a 4th cup? and so it just sort of, not action. It's like a little bit passive, a little bit like looking at what the opportunity is and not being sure that you want to take it.
Yeah, it's very accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, which I feel like that's right now though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, technically I have taken the opportunity, but like to like do I want to open my heart up and my mind up to a new, new whatever it is. But.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what might end up happening in life is like these should be switched.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm kind of in a state where like I'm like, oh, like unsure and not sure I want to take this new risk, and then that could be the outcome of like, okay, now everything is more positive.
Well, yeah, it could be. Although it also could be that right now you're in a place where you don't necessarily have to make a big decision because you have what you need. Like you don't have to. There's nothing pushing you beyond your comfort zone. If you think of this as your comfort zone, where everything everything, yeah, that doesn't work either.
Yeah, I mean, because like in the present right now, I feel like it's been very trying to push myself out of my comfort zone, and like not wanting to leave it, but also working towards it.
Well, maybe these two are just so like back and forth between them. Like there's this pull toward not changing and being in, staying in the security of where you are, and then this back and forth between that but there's this other opportunity.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like the past one was very accurate. I was surprised about that one. I was like, whoa, that's really true.
Do you want to do a card for what do I need to know right now, or like advice for dealing with this situation?
Yeah, I mean, we have like 4 minutes. So
okay.
I mean, it's just we still have time for it. I just want to make
let's
sure.
do. All right, so cut them one more time. Okay. 2 of Cups. I would say that means focus on the relationship.
Yeah, that's pretty much what everyone's been telling me. Okay. and wait, it's good though. Like not saying oh, everyone told me that.
Right.
But yeah, like that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the fears and doubts and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's good advice.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because this is a relation where the 2 opposites are coming together in relationship, and this is a different kind of opposites, but you're like trying to just hold them together because you have to keep control, whereas this is more like coming together out of love and friendship.
Yeah. That's very accurate.
Yeah. So
that's cool. Yeah, I think most times I've gotten readings, it's been accurate and like it's been helpful too. I mean, I've already kind of knew that, but like,
I know.
But it's good to like
the feeling that I
get
often
validation, like reassurance and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. I've always been interested in that stuff. Since just I caught on time because of my wonderful camera. Is there anything else you want to like add to this? Just like a point or something, real quick. I'm just gonna give you the opportunity. You don't have to, but I don't know. I just said thank you for the opportunity to do this. Yeah, absolutely. This is awesome.
It's been fun to talk. And I mean, off camera, on camera, if you have any more questions about writing or anxiety or tarot or anything.
Yeah, this is all great topics. I knew it was going to be a good one.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up real quick because I see the camera is literally blinking now.
Bye, Mom.
Yes, goodbye. And all the YouTuber stuff, subscribe, follow, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Dark dreams seem to fall. Thinking about